Okay, let's talk about it. For those of you guys who have been here for a while, I posted a video a few weeks ago about me resigning from my corporate career after 15 years. And for the most part, a lot of you guys were really supportive in my decision. You guys left some very, very sweet and wonderful and amazing, encouraging, motivating comments, and I read every single last one of them. So thank you so very much. And many of you have asked me to kind of follow up and give you guys advice on how we were able to make this possible. And then there were a few of you who were concerned that I left such a lucrative and amazing career after so many years. Like, what are you going to do now? And I have to take part of that responsibility myself, because several of you have not been here a very long time, and you may not know that my husband and I both run businesses outside of our careers. And I am an event planner. We opened a studio 3 years ago. I have several different business initiatives that are going on. So it's not like I just quit my job and then I had nothing to fall back on. I actually had a plan, and that's what I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. For those of you who are going to be entering into the new year and you want to do something different in the new year, you may want to see how you can set yourself up for success so that you too can turn your passion into your profit. And I'm just going to be sharing like 5 quick tips with you guys today on how I prepared myself to resign from my job and still live the same standard and the same quality of life. So I hope you guys find these tips helpful. If you have any additional questions, I may write it out kind of in a blog post and post it over on my website, melanieturner.design. But I did just want to do this one last follow-up video for you guys who were interested. So the first thing, when you are getting ready to resign from a job, you want to make sure that you are prepared. Like, I had an amazing job. They were wonderful people. I have no regrets about the time that I spent there. I made great money. I mean, everything was absolutely wonderful. It was just that it took me away from home a lot. And if you want to hear the backstory, I will post that link down in the description box below, so that you can go back and watch that video. I don't want to kind of regurgitate that, but just, it was a great job. But I knew that in order to have the lifestyle, the family, and the demographics that I wanted to have with my husband and I, that I was going to have to make a decision at some point to stop traveling, because I travel 85% of the time. And so one of the first things that I did was I had a company car. And so 5 years ago, I used to have a luxury vehicle, and when my husband and I first got married, I noticed that we had a lot of overhead. Like, we had several cars, we had just bought a house, we just had this amazing wedding, and so I wanted to cut back on some of the overhead. And so what I did was I sold my car back, and that's a whole different story about being about obedience being better than sacrifice, because when I got ready to sell the car back, my husband wasn't necessarily in agreement with that. But because I listened to him, it ended up working out in my favor. And what happened was I had an extended warranty on this car. And instead of me having to pay the difference of what the car actually was worth, they ended up paying me money, so we walked out in the black. And then after that, I paid myself a car note for 5 years. So I paid myself a car note for 5 years. So I knew that once I got ready to resign from this particular job, I knew I would have the money to buy me a car in cash, okay? The second thing that I did was that I adapted just-in-time, like the JIT, the just-in-time principle. in regards to shopping for our home. Instead of like I couponed and I stocked up on things that I knew we would be using a lot, like detergents and soap and tissue and paper towels and all that kind of stuff. I stocked up on that, and then when it came to cooking meals, what I found out is that a lot of the things in my refrigerator would go bad before we actually got to use them. So I only started buying what we would eat and, you know, and what I would cook for the week, and that saved us a ton of money. So meal planning and couponing saved us a ton of money. The next thing I did was I started to just simplify my life. I started to look at things that I was doing and just seeing if those things were really necessary. Did I really need those things? Was I really using all of those memberships? Was I really taking advantage of everything that we were paying for on a monthly basis? And was my husband really taking advantage of everything that he was paying for on a monthly basis? And so once we did that, we simplified our lives, and I'm telling you guys, it saved a ton of money. The next thing that I did was that I paid off all debt, and then I called the credit card companies and I started to negotiate rates with everyone we had a bill with, like whether it was a cable bill or a utility bill. Yes, you can negotiate that. Just everyone that we had a bill with, I called to negotiate lower rates in order to cut our bills, you know, in half or in thirds. And these are the bills that I'm referring to are like recurring bills, like utility bills, electric bill, cable bill, cell phone bills. You know, we went back and we revamped all of those things to fit our current lifestyles. And then by being able to do that, it enabled us to pay off like almost all of our debt. The only thing we have left, my student loan. So hubby has always been debt free, and that's one of the reasons I've always listened to him in terms of, you know, financial things, because he's just always had like A1 credit. And then the number one thing that I had to do was figure out exactly how much I needed to make in order to maintain my quality of life. So I live in a very small town in Alabama, and so like finding corporate jobs on this statute or on the level that I actually had here in Alabama was like virtually impossible. I would have to definitely move. So what I did was sit down to figure out, okay, exactly how much do I need to make in order to maintain the same quality of life that we currently have. And so I've been extremely blessed and fortunate to be able to do that through our side businesses. And so by me quitting, we, you know, did not have to make any other major adjustments, because I've been making these adjustments over the years. And when we finally made the decision that I would resign, everything was in place. Like everything was in place. And we did not have to stress or worry. It was like a very smooth transition. Another thing that I want to kind of share with you guys is that I know many of you guys are, you know, wanting to start your small business, whether it's in event planning or photography or baking or cooking or sewing or hairdressing or whatever your talent, whatever your passion is. One of the things that kept me going for so long was that I used my provision to fund my vision. And what I mean by that is that my job was my provision. It provided. But I used my provision to fund my vision. And so when I had that mentality, it was so much easier for me to go to work. I was always happy because I knew that I was working towards a greater cause. I knew I was working towards my destiny and my purpose, and it just made it so much easier for me to do the things that I needed to do in terms of working. And so allow your provision to fund your vision, and you will find that you will be extremely productive and prosperous in both. And that's one of the things that I found. And we worked out a plan. We knew that we needed at least 5 years to get this all together, to get the business, you know, off and self-sustaining. And God has truly blessed us because we did not have to take out loans. You can start an event planning business with no money. I'm a living, breathing witness. You can go back and look at my first video and look at, you know, what God has done now. It is definitely possible. So if you guys are considering leaving your job to pursue your passion and your purpose, the one thing I would say is plan properly. Plan properly. Allow your provision to fund your vision, and prepare for the masses, but be also prepared for the minuscule. Expect the minuscule as well, because sometimes your business may just take off and sometimes it may not. So you need to be prepared both ways. And so those are my tips for you guys. I hope that you found them helpful. For all of you guys who are new here at Living Luxuriously for Less, I would like to take this opportunity to just welcome you. And I'm so glad that you are a part of our Lux for Less family. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, it's Melanie with Living Luxuriously for Less. Cheers!